Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you very much for the invitation to engage us in this historic process. Let me state ab initio that we shall also present, in fact, at the finishing stage, present a position paper, which clearly outlines where we stand on most of the issues here, as outlined in the draft. However, I'll go over just a few that we feel important that needs to come out at this stage. I will refer you to page 13. I think it's a lot easier that way. Page 13 to qualifications, that deals with qualifications for registration as a voter. Chair, we are absolutely concerned by virtue of experience that Section 13 in particular, or Clause 13, qualifications for registration as a voter, and specifically Clause 13, subsection 2A, subsection 2. Now, we believe, also we share the view, of course, by Gambian practice, birth certificates would signify citizenship. That has been the accepted documentation for acquiring national, for ID cards and passports. When you submit a birth certificate, prima facie, you are deemed to be a Gambian, or otherwise, unless if there is a contradictory or overwhelming evidence that suggests acquisition was otherwise. But here in the Gambia, from independence to date, to acquire any national service or employment that requires proof of citizenship, birth certificate is deemed to be evidence of nationality. And I do agree with the extension that was accorded it by the honorable leader of the United Democratic Party, that obtains in many countries, and that is the case. And I'd like to see that here also, so that we can eliminate the issue of statelessness in the Gambia. And this is something we're very passionate about. So whether you're a Gambian or a non-Gambian, there should be evidence that when you are born in the Gambia, you have a document to prove that you were born in the Gambia. So every person born in the Gambia, or found himself or herself being born in the Gambia, would have a document that would trace to your place of birth. Nonetheless, we believe that along the analogy of attestation, which is clearly stated in 13(2)D, we believe they serve the same purpose. Because we must look at the objective reality of the Gambia today. It is absolutely easy to obtain a birth certificate within a very short period of time. That is the reality. You want a birth certificate, you can obtain one in less than a few hours. You can obtain a birth certificate. Now, for election purposes, birth certificate is just a piece of paper. There is no picture identification attached to it. So anybody whose name is Fabrama Sane or Ibrahim Mane, because the Nyanchos are the ones I can hang on to, any of them, Fabrama Mane can come and say, I am actually, Ibrahim Sane. And there is no evidence, empirical or otherwise, that would displace that. And he would be allowed to vote with a mere document, just like an attestation, which is signed by a CFO or an alcalo. With a simple document, you can go in. So I am saying, or our position is, we do away with birth certificate because they are subject to fraud, easy to access and easy to abuse. Now, with regards to, that is 13(2)A. With regards to 13(2)D, our position is that while we agree that CFO should have no place in this, absolutely, we believe an alcalo, in addition to a compound head, in fact, the initiative should come from the compound head, then to the alcalo. So if you are from village A, let's say you are from Dankunku, the village, the compound head, with the compound where you originate from, the compound head of in Dankunku would affirm that you are indeed somebody from that household. Then it goes to the village alcalo, who would certify that, and then that can go. that would prove conclusively that you should be from that, or except otherwise, another superior evidence that suggests fraud took place. But of course, you cannot have a full proof, so there is some point where we must stop. So we would say an alcalo in addition to a compound head. Somehow that can be redrafted. I'm not just going straight into how the drafting should read, but there should be a place there. And SAFO should be absolutely deleted. SAFO should be deleted. It is for additional safety measures, because we know, I agree with the previous speaker, the SAFO does not know the name of my son and cannot even prove that if I have a son or not, for example. So if you want to go to Kerawan and the SAFO doesn't know all the residents of Kerawan, obviously it makes no sense for a SAFO to confirm something that he cannot swear to his personal knowledge or experience or otherwise. So SAFO should be removed. It is unsafe and it is subject to abuse. It is a floodgate for fraud. So it should be eliminated. We would go to refer you to page 15. Specifically to section 18 or clause 18. There, I would like us to define what a voter is. I think we believe that it should belong. First, we talk about transfer of voters list. We're talking about voting here. Who is a voter? We believe there should be, the interpretation section should be clearly defined, and what a voter's card is, so that we eliminate some of these things, eliminate the idea of attestation and a faceless birth certificate that is also easily obtainable. I mean, we know this, there's a lot of experience for this. Many of us would be honest that it's quite easy to obtain a birth certificate too, unless we have birth certificates that are accompanied by faces, by face ID. And this was something we are working on. Well, that's not the venue for that. All right, so essentially we believe that should be, a voter's card should be defined, so we know what a voter's card is clearly. And let's go to that section, the section that deals with it, with that. We would ask you to refer you to page 19 as well. Page 19 deals with revising court. Well, it's quite clear. The spirit is that the general spirit is expedition. How do you get processes really expedited in such a manner that delay would not result to any harm to any individual, any person there? So I am minded, in fact, in order to give that importance, because there's a couple of sections, series of sections on the revising court, and I'm sure the constitution is also clear on where these things should go to. But in the interest of saving time, I would just propose that it goes straight to the High Court. That is our proposal.
Can you mention the clause that
clause 28 deals with the revising court, page 19. I know if you look at the jurisdiction and the matters that come before a revising court, it relates more to summary issues, things that can be dispensed with quickly and, with expeditiously. Is the chair, the co-chair with me? Yeah. Yes. So precisely that's what we talk about. All other issues that are connected to revising court. We're saying that because there it talks about appeals to the High Court from there. And election periods are quite limited. And oftentimes before these decisions are made, although they appear summary, primarily on the surface, they appear that they are matters that you can deal with easily. For greater expedition, in order to have the process more expedited, we are proposing it might perhaps create additional cumbersome or some burdens on the judiciary, but make it the business of the High Court instead. Here we talk on Magistrates Court, and from there you go to the High Court on appeals. And before it is totally disposed of, the election period is over. So it becomes a moot point. In some cases, yes, you could operate backwards to say, well, if you are not supposed to vote and you voted either way, but how is it there to prove, you know, who you voted for, who you may not vote for? We go to page 40. Page 40, that is clause 62, directions on voting. Here I'm a bit troubled by 62A. You may vote. This is the returning officers, rather. Shall call notice to be printed in a conspicuous character and posted in various places, you know, in the following terms as the commission may direct. So, like it says, you may vote for one candidate only. There is discretionary. You may vote for one, but you may also vote for two. So I think we should be very clear on that. It should be very specific. You can only vote for one candidate. So the word may should be amended, you know, not to allow for discretion. Because you can vote for A, then you can vote for B, and then you will use section 62A as your strength. And then page 41 as well, 65. For me, there is some disharmony here. 65.1 and 65.3. 65.1, polls at polling stations shall commence at 8 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. It's very specific, between 8 and 5. You know, and it uses the word shall commence at 8 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. So it means at 5 p.m. the polls shall actually close, not beyond. But 65.3 say at 5 p.m. the presiding officer shall assign a security officer on election duty to ensure that no other person joins the queue to vote at 5 p.m. So it means election can proceed beyond 5 p.m. It only says you cannot join the queue after 5 p.m. So that needs to be harmonized, so that, you know, a provision is made, a proviso that you can, and provided A, B, C, D, then it can be more neat, you know, so that we are not caught up by the 5 o'clock. I mean, this disharmony, this apparent inconsistency needs to be reconciled. Then you go down to 66.4, 66.4 as well, where a voter, because to us, we find this to be an infraction, and it should attract consequences. Where a voter is not the same person whose name is on the register of voters, or B, has already voted at the election, that is fraud. Clearly, if your name is not there, that may be an omission on the part of the commission. That could be understandable. There may be your name should have been there, it's not there. That could be an omission, it could be innocent, could be intentional. But B has already voted. You knew you had voted and you don't have a right to come back again. Obviously, your intention is mala fide. So we are saying that important element of fraud on the part of the person should go to section 69. Section 69 deals with offenses within the polling station voting. There, it should not just be, you know, because it says if you do not, the presiding officer shall not give him or her a ballot token. That is like, you know, a pat on the back. Oh, you voted. You've already voted. You know, you don't need to vote again. You know, it is rewarding bad conduct with nothing. And you're talking about elections here. You know, so that part should go to the offense section. You know, and not simply not be given a token. You should not be given a token, and there should be further action against you. That has some criminal import, there's a lot of notations made here, but time is going, and I know Kek Sane and his clan must be hungry by now. So we would definitely submit the rest as an opinion and allow others a bite at the apple. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Honorable members, I want to talk with you because you will agree with me that you have been very long. And you can see the amount of commitment and interest from the respective